Jim's not here, he's out of town, so, and because we don't really have a specific agenda, we're gonna go ahead and just call roll, and then I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you, Tara. So, I see Bob Morris, good morning. Are you there?
Morning.
Okay, there you are. Morning.
Yes. Good.
I see a phone. Okay, yeah, thanks. I'm having a little bit harder time with the thing popped up. Okay, let's see. I see a call in with 7569. Is that Tom Waltz on the call? I'm having a hard time seeing the screen. 7165, actually. Phone number.
That's Jerry, and my computer is having a little struggle logging in, so I'm on the phone.
Oh, okay, very good. Thanks, Jerry.
Yep.
I saw you pop up for half a minute, and then I guess
Yeah, and then the little wheel is turning.
Okay, it says joining. Okay. All right, well, I see you on the call. Thanks for joining us, Jerry. Xander Winter.
Good morning.
Watershed Research and Training Center. Thank you for joining, Xander. Ben.
Hey, good morning.
Ben Sundall of the U.S. Forest Service. Deputy Ranger, if I'm not mistaken, officially, right?
Correct. I'm back.
You're back. All right. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. Larry, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Tara. Larry from SAFE and the Collaborative.
Awesome. Thanks, Larry. Joe and Brian.
Hey, good morning, Joe and Brian Taylor here. Trinity River.
Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Cody.
Morning, Kelly.
Morning. Cody Carter, Forester from the Shasta Trinity National Forest. I have Susan and Joseph, I assume, both on the call this morning.
We are here.
Okay. Breaking up a little bit, but we can hear you. And I think that, and I'm Kelly Sheen with the Trinity County RCD. So I think that's it. I think my parents are supposed to be joining in a couple minutes, but they're going to be here in the office, which is why I chose to operate from here. But I think that's it, Tara.
Okay. All right, so it says it's loading my my document here, so.
I see it.
Okay, so again, this is the Board of Supervisors update that I gave this month. And what we talked about at the last, at our last meeting was just to be able to report this out to you. So I thought I would just go kind of through it. The emphasis this year for the Trinity Wildfire Crisis Strategy Landscape is that it's a year of implementation. So the current work that we had done at the beginning of April was just under 3,000 acres. And later on down the document, we have actually implemented 3,800 acres of fuels reduction treatments. So while it's a significant increase over what we've done in the past, we still clearly have a lot more to do to kind of meet the need here. We continue to work in our partnerships. We are investing in our local partners, and we'll get into some of that with the program of work. So the types of work people are doing for us is partner-led NEPA, which you're experiencing with Bowerman. They'll also be, the Watershed Center will also be taking on a project at Junction City. That project was proposed to us by the community. And then we'll be working with the RCD on a fuel break in the Weaverville Community Forest that they will take the lead on. Again, we continue to work on fuels reduction implementation. We right up until February, we're working on some fuels reduction projects. with the RCD and around the Pettyjohn area. We're also using our partners to get more wildlife surveys done. I believe the Watershed Center is up to 14 people on their wildlife survey crew, which is super helpful because we have so many surveys to get done. And other things we're getting done with partnerships is our trail building, restoration, other recreational opportunities, road maintenance and minor repairs. And then as you know, or I think you know, we've executed a good neighbor agreement with Trinity County that allows us to use their temporary bridge, which we have used in the past at the Forest Glen guard station there for fuels reduction work, and that will be going back in later this month to facilitate more hazardous fuels removal. We continue to work closely with you guys. Want to make sure the board's aware that we're meeting regularly. We will be having our partner barbecue. I believe it may get switched to June 6th from the 5th, but that will be coming up. So please mark that on your calendars. The scoping period was extended, so I can give you a fire camera update. We received a few comments, I think 2 or 3. They were positive and supported the fire cameras being installed. We have moved into preparing the draft CE and working with getting our letters out to our tribal partners, but everything is in place for that fire camera CE to be signed and ready to go for installation this summer. I also talked to Mr. Anderson from Digital Pathways and this morning and gave him the update as well. So that's all moving along well. High and Palm should be finished up and signed by June so that we can start implementation in High and Palm this summer in the plantations. I want to just make sure that, and this might be on my slides as well, but the Pettyjohn project you're all familiar with. I want to make sure there's no confusion. It will be referred to as, and there are signs up there calling it Texas Spider. As many of you know that have been with in Trinity County a while, the Texas Spider project was halted. We came up with some replacement volume, worked it out with the purchaser, and they will be logging Pettyjohn. I believe that may be active this summer, but as you know, that's up to the contractor. There will be fuels work going on, fuels reduction work will be proceeding out there this summer. We continue what work has been completed. I'm happy to say that during one of our public meetings, the Kellogg fuel break was brought up. It is a fuel break that's around Hayfork. The NEPA was still valid. So we went out and maintained that fuel break, did some brushing and piling. So that work has been completed. The piles we will get burned this fall. Also work is continuing in the August fire footprint. We're working on it's grants and agreements season for us. So a lot of our staff as well as our partner staff are busy putting those contracts together. Okay. Additional contracts, anticipated contracts. We expect to have a Bowerman contract go out. There'll be a timber sale that's going to come out of there. There'll be a couple of different contractual tools in High and Palm, likely a timber sale, small timber sale, as well as it'll be part of a larger IRSC, which is the fuels reduction piece. And Trinity Camps will have an offering this both a timber sale contract and likely a fuels reduction work going on under a service contract. And then for those of you that may have lost sight of it, we do have a very, very large project that's been proposed in the Monument Fire footprint to repair the 16, 60, and 47. That contract should be out to bid in the next month or so. So we're excited about that. I'll try to go through this a little bit quicker. because I'm getting tired of hearing myself talk. The prescribed fire, we were already over 1,400 acres. And just to give you some perspective, to get 1,400 acres across the west side of prescribed fire, much of what we've done in the past has been just a hack and sack. So it's been a lot of piling. So to get to 1,400 acres of accomplishment took 155 days between the two units of pile burning. That is not a way that we're going to be able to increase our pace and scale to address kind of the hazards that we're facing. But that was kind of the model of the past, was a lot of hand piles. And that's really not super sustainable moving forward. There's the number. So total fuels accomplishment to date is 3,843 acres. So that's as of the end of February. And then I'm going to kind of just not give you the recreation stuff. And what I will do is send this to Kelly to route out to all of you. If you haven't heard, because we haven't had a meeting, I wanted to make sure, thank you, Ben, for joining. Ben is back as our permanent deputy district ranger. He was gone for a while, covering up in on the Mount Shasta McLeod management unit when Carolyn Napper retired. And then want to make sure you're all aware, Joe Rodarm has been selected as our new district ranger on the Mount Shasta McLeod management unit. And his job before that was as our environmental coordinator here out of the Shasta Trinity office. All right, any questions so far? Okay. All right, let me pull up this PowerPoint, and it's a very primitive PowerPoint, so be patient with me. I do PowerPoints in my spare time. Let me see.
All of your spare time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, yes, I'm gonna just pull this up like that, go there. Then I'm going to, oh, it's a Zoom meeting, I can Zoom. And I wanna share, what do I wanna do? Share screen. I guess just my screen and I'll do the PowerPoint. That should work. Tell me if you guys can see this.
Not yet.
Okay. Screen.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. You know that thing when now I can't get to the buttons because you guys' buttons are in my way. That's okay. We'll just do it this way. Like I said, I'm very low tech. Okay. Trinity County Collaborative Group Program of Work meeting. So I wanted to kind of. There we go. Okay. Why now and why at this scale? Oh, I see someone put something in the chat. Kelly, can you keep track of the chat? Because that would be probably like me trying to drive a stick shift in Europe.
Yeah, Brian and Joe basically were just asking how long the temp bridge will be at Forest Glen.
I expect it'll be there almost all season. So through July, August, September, we'll probably look at, we should be done out there probably by mid to late October.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so why now? Why at this scale? You know, we've talked a little bit about why are we doing things a little bit differently. And we've looked at, you know, the work to be done. We need to do preventative forest health work, post-fire restoration work, and reforestation and community risk reduction. And what we've done in the past is we've tried to pick, you know, should we go do post-fire restoration? Or should we do and include the reforestation? You know, we never seem to quite get around to the preventative work because we were constantly responding to fires. So, and you guys, because you can share my screen and I can't seem to get to the top part of my bar here. Let me see if I can move this down. Oh, there we go. And maybe this is wrong. No. Anyway, okay, we'll put that back. So This is, as you all know, this is a picture from the Monument Fire. And honestly, the fires that we're getting, we just cannot keep up with the scale. I mean, you look at the work that we were doing before, Browns was good. It took a long time. Even Pilot, which also took a long time, was about 4,000 acres. And in this one fire, you all know, we burned close to 300,000 acres. So that's kind of the why we need to look at doing things differently and on a much bigger scale. Since 2018, fires in and around Trinity County have burned 1,722,401 acres. Do you know we've lost homes, and we're looking to do more at a larger scale? This is our landscape map. I can make this bigger for you because, we're doing this in real time at this point. Okay. So this map, as you can see, you probably recognize, here's the Trinity landscape. Oh, gosh darn it. There you go. There's the Trinity landscape. And you see the August complex, the Carr Fire, the Knob Fire, McFarland Monument, Red Salmon River, South Fork, and last year's, I guess it was a year before that, SRF Lightning Complex. That's how I got to the 1.7 million acres. If I were to put on this map, the Browns project or even Pilot, it would represent a tiny little dot on here. And I actually have a map that I can show you some of those things, but that's kind of, if you're asking why are we trying to do more at a larger scale, this is exactly why. So our objectives are, number one, first and foremost, to reduce the risk of wildfire to our communities. I want to encourage you to go to this wildfirerisk.org website. It's run by the Forest Service. And in it, you can pick out what's the risk to Coffee Creek, what's the risk to Hayfork, what's the risk to, and it's going to give you some different things to look at. It'll give you the risk of losing your home. It'll give you the risk of being impacted by wildfire. It'll give you the risk to underserved communities. It's really a pretty good little tool. And it's one I certainly referenced when we were applying for the Trinity landscape emergency designation. Oh gosh, okay. We want to increase diversity to improve forest health and resilience. We want to increase diversity, restore oak woodlands, reduce competition for light and water, return fire to its natural role in the ecosystem. And then, as you've all seen, the impacts of catastrophic wildfire are definitely felt on the natural resources. You've seen what happens with how much sedimentation we get when we've experienced high severity fire. And the other thing we need to do is to plan for maintenance treatments. Okay, if you haven't seen this map, if you ever hear the Forest Service talk about priority fire sheds or high risk fire sheds, can you guys all see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You see that of the national rankings, so that nationally, we've got 4 of them in the top 100. So we've got Burnt Ranch at 34, Bucktail, which is around Lewiston area, is in at 57, Bee Gum is 67, and Big Bar is 72. So the other one on the forest sits up to our north is there's one in McLeod that ranks pretty high. So let's start talking about, I'm going to switch gears. Well, let's talk about 2024, and then I'll bring up a map for you guys all to see the whole shebang. Things are going well on the High and Palm community risk reduction. It's 12,500 acres. As you know, because we didn't have 2 years of owl surveys, we are planning to implement first in plantations until we get that second year of owl surveys completed. We have been working closely with the community, with our stakeholders, and with the Fish and Wildlife Service, as well as NIMS on the coast and the water board. We expect to get this signed by around the end of May. And to put many of these service contract acres into a contract, a large IRSC. The work that we're looking to put in there is a cut, skid, and deck. We're placing the priority for these acres to at least get the material to the landing. And then if we can leverage different tools to get it either chipped and removed, or work with the county to maybe use the grinder, or the worst case scenarios, we would have to burn that material on the landing. All of that would be much faster than having 12,500 acres of hand piles to have to figure out. If so using mechanical usually gets us a much better product. There are some acres that we're considering for mastication, but we don't want to leave all the fuel on the landscape in a different position if we can't, if there's too much of it, and it's going to result in too much depth of chips. The fire cameras, NEPA will get done in time to have it implemented again this year. So we're looking, that should be May. We should be able to finish that off and have it done. Bowerman is about a full step behind High Palm, but it's about 2,400 acres. We expect to have a timber offering off of that. I'll go back. High Palm should have a small timber offering, as we do have some commercial plantations for this year. Bowerman will have a timber offering off of it, as well as the submerged material will be going into an IRSC. And the RCD was successful in getting a CCI grant that will take on some of those acres as well. So we're super happy to be working with the RCD and our local partners on that. So the other one you don't see here, and I apologize because it's not necessarily my unit, is and it's at 1,400 acres, is Trinity Camps. We expect Cody, do you want to give an update on Trinity Camps? Cody?
Can you repeat that? I'm having audio problems.
That's okay. I'm on Trinity Camps. I was wondering if you want to give an update on Trinity Camps and what we're expecting for this fiscal year.
Oh, yeah. So for this fiscal year, we're planning to do a timber sale, which includes 2 campgrounds. And it's about 1,500 acres. It'll treat Ridgeville and Hayward Flat. And then there's going to be a separate fuels contract that will deal with some of the fuels. It's like more of like the oak area in the Squirrel. I think it's called Squirrel Flat, up to the north of the lake.
Okay,
There's about 100 acres of fuels treatment for that.
great. Thank you, Cody. And then here's 25. 25 is a little messed up here, but big ranch that you all have been to. As you know, when we started off, it was going to be 60,000 acres. As we started trimming it up and based on topography, drainages, accessibility, proximity to communities, we ended up with about 35,000 acres. So this is the trimmed down version. I think, Cody, about 5,000 of that is on the 6 rivers. Is that correct?
Yes, around 10,000 acres are on, or 5,000 acres are on 6 rivers.
Okay, perfect. And remember, of that, about 14,000 acres of that is in plantations across the board there. project you maybe hadn't heard about yet is the South Fork Mountain Fuel Break project. That's going to be an EA that we're working with the Six Rivers on. The Six Rivers and Kristen Lark is the lead. We on the Shasta Trinity on the west side are providing the fuels planner as well as the botanist. So this project will run along South Fork Mountain, will include some of the areas burned at high severity, and will establish a functional fuel break for quite a ways down the South Fork Mountain, and will based on the acres you see there, 8,000 acres, it'll be an EA. That changed a little bit from when we went out and visited that in the field. You know, when you factor in that it's about from the main road to the top of the ridge was 1,500 feet ish in places. It really didn't make sense to stick to a CE that only allowed you to go 1,000 feet. That would be just, you know, kind of silly to cut off a treatment just before you get to the ridge line, so that you could fit into a CE category. So we chose, you know, Kristen and I talked about it, felt like an EA is a better fit to do the right thing on the landscape. The next project is the North Trinity County Community Risk Reduction. That's sitting at about 15,000 acres right now. That is with the NRA and the TRMU. The NRA is taking the lead on that planning. They will be following kind of the model we've established with public field trips, and working with all of you, as well as getting our tribal partners out there, and that will take some considerable coordination with Caltrans as well. But that planning should be going on and should be completed in 25. Junction City is that's the project, as I said, we got from the community there to address their not only the post-fire condition from the monument fire, but also to do some preventative treatments. We're working closely with the Watershed Center to kind of figure out exactly what that footprint will be. So when I switch to the map here, you won't see Junction City on there yet, just because we haven't finished ironing out the acres. And the same is true for North Trinity County. We're still working with the NRA to figure out those acres. And then the Weaverville Community Forest Fuel Break is the project I mentioned before that will be, the RCD will be leading that effort, with the Watershed Center leading the effort on Junction City. So as you can see, the general plan is much like I discussed with you before. We will have large planning projects by the Forest Service planning teams, and then our partners will be stepping up and helping us with some of these smaller projects. And then you should also see a very focused effort in Trinity County by bringing in the Six Rivers folks, and we're working across boundaries, as well as the NRA taking on this large planning effort as well. Any questions about 24 or 25? Again, I'm going to show them to you on a map here shortly. Okay. And again, this is I definitely want to make sure I've said this. This is a draft. What we're trying to do is make sure that we're getting, and you'll see that on the map, we're trying to get to these communities and focus there. So 2026, we're looking at doing a project in the Del Loma area, so across the 299 from Big Ranch. We're looking to do something in Del Loma. These are the rough, kind of the gross acres. One thing I'm looking to do on this project as well is to cover Ironside Mountain, and looked at probably entering into a spa with a Sunungwe on Ironside. So looking forward to that. This trailhead egress is a project that we're doing with RCD to make sure that when our folks are up visiting the wilderness and they're in at our trailheads, we'll be doing a fuel break treatment. along the roads to make sure they can get, we can get emergency equipment in and that we can get our public out in the event of a fire. And then the East Lake Fuel Break is part of the cooperative fuel breaks we've been doing with SPI and CAL FIRE and BLM. That'll be done by the Watershed Center. And I believe, yeah, that'll be done by the Watershed Center. And we'll be up kind of on that. Seems like everything has that main county road that ties back into French Gulch, kind of be over there off of that. Okay. 27. We're looking at doing an East Weaver Forest Health project. Many of you that have been out and around East Weaver and out of East Branch, we're having quite a bit of mortality. So I'm expecting to do that as a CE. And the Forest Service's large project that year will be Post Mountain, which will be about 30,000 acres. That one was actually pretty big, 30 to 40, I think. And then so Post Mountain is on the map. And I will be getting that I'm going to show you. East Weaver Forest Health is not. And then I'll be getting this 2028. These projects are new. Weird thing happened when we started this. The years just kept rolling forward. So 2028 is a new effort for us. And Denny will be a project we're going to be trying to pursue with the Six Rivers and the Lower Trinity unit. We may be contracting that out. And then Wild Harrison, you can probably figure out that's the Wildwood Harrison Gulch area. And along back by Peanut and back over to 36. That's what that project is. And the estimate on the acres here is pretty rough. We are using, so I can stop sharing this and I'll go to my, I mean, I just should have brought up my map. I'll bring up the map that kind of shows the planning areas. Yep, and then I'll share my screen some more. So, I keep trying to go into Teams. It's like a default. How long will the, oh, we talked about that already. And share my screen. There we go. Okay, let me know. There you go. So this is some of those projects spatially, and I have a couple of different maps, products that I can share with you. So starting in, I'm going to pause for a second and ask if there's any questions. And again, want to reiterate that there is plenty of time for us to have conversations about where pieces of ground we want to make sure we keep in. I heard that Joseph had an area that he wanted a fuel break that he thought we should be looking at, and all of those things. I really need to hear your feedback. So this is in no way is all of this set in stone. It's just that the way that the Forest Service operates, we have to have a pretty decent idea of some of the places we're going to be going. For instance, I put in for a Nature Conservancy grant to get cadastral work and stand exams done on Hayfork, because I have to be far enough ahead to start to get some of that work and some of that some of those larger pieces funded. So anyways, okay, let's take a look at the map here. Starting in 24, you can see High and Palm is sitting down here, and you can see the whole thing kind of spatially. And that's the one we're going to get done first. We'll have that, well, August phase 2 should be signed next, then WCF phase 2, then High and Palm. So High and Palm will be and you've all been along for all of those field trips to High and Palm. So that'll be our next and first big project at 12,500 acres. Big Ranch, the other thing I didn't mention about Big Ranch is, gosh, What is the name of that meadow, Cody? We're looking to do some meadow enhancement. It starts with an H.
Hay press.
Hay Press Meadow. We're wanting to make sure we do some meadow enhancement there. And then, as you know, we're coming down behind Salyer and picking up that Hennessy Ridge area. Also of note is that the boundary for this project in many places crosses 299. So we can start to address some of the forest health issues in our campgrounds and hazard trees to the highway where possible. You've seen kind of what Caltrans has been up against in the county with trying to address hazard trees. So we wanted to make sure that we push the boundary across the road, across the highway, so that where we could address those issues, we'd have the NEPA to do it. You also see the power line runs through a lot of Big Ranch. And so we'll be working with PG&E to be strategic and address, hazard trees and removal of those fuels, as well as reaching out to Corral Creek to see if they have any, specific concerns. So we're trying to be better neighbors and reaching out to not only private timberland companies, but even in the communities to make sure that we're doing the right things in the right places. So I'll stop there. So we'll do High and Palm, then I expect that I will be scoping Big Ranch in July. So that's when I'm thinking we should be able to, June or July, probably July. I'm trying to give the planning team has been working a lot and at a pretty good clip. I'd like to give them a minute to catch their breath before we plunge into Big Ranch. So it'll be towards the end of June when we scope that one. At the same time, the NRA is putting together their planning team, and they've started to meet on the North Trinity County project. And I apologize, I don't have that shapefile on this map for you. But if you when you look over to Highway 3 North, if you look at kind of connecting the dots between Bowerman and these egress project and Trinity camps, you'll start to see where the North Trinity County project will be lining up. So that should kick off and be on a similar timeline as Big Ranch. So that's kind of how that's going. Contracts are being put together now. Oh, go ahead, Jerry. Jerry, if you have a question, you're muted. I see your hand, so I feel like I accomplished something. Am I frozen? Nope, I saw Kelly move. Okay, we'll come back to Jerry's question. So that'll also happen in 2025. I also need to find a way to just to let this group know. As many of you know, it's not just these big projects we're working on. There's a number of special use things that kind of come through the door, or small projects. For instance, we're doing a project at Corral Gulch to do some watershed restoration work. In addition, we need to accomplish a CE related to Sydney Gulch. That is the little channel that kind of runs right through our district office there. So we'll be working to kind of figure out how to get those moving along too. The plan right now is to take some of our newer employees who are at like the GS9 level and have them work on some of these small NEPA requirements, so they can just start to get some experience with NEPA. Okay, any questions about 24 or 25? Okay.
I got a quick question, Tara. Is
Yep.
This is Xander. The hazard tree EA, is that implementation still on the radar?
Yes. But as you may have heard, the hazard tree EA is being litigated.
Nope, I didn't, but not surprised. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. Thank you.
Okay, Jerry's got his, we got
Can
Jerry's
you,
technical issues
can
taken
you hear
care
me now?
of. Yes,
We can hear you.
Okay, when you were down in the Burnt Ranch area, Tara, had you talked to Travis at Velocity about the 2 cameras down there? Did you have an update? I have one from him this morning, but maybe you've already covered it.
When I was talking with Travis about Velocity,
About the 2 cameras on Horse Mountain and Bald Hill down there in the Burnt Ranch area?
I don't have an update for that, Jerry. If you want to give it to me, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, on Horse Mountain, Travis had been talking with Kevin Anderson from Digital Path, who thought he had an in with the company that owns the tower. However, he proved not to do very much. They're back in line to submit an application. But Bald Hill, Travis is just waiting on cameras, and he'll install as soon as he gets them. And Kevin has 2 cameras and is shipping them down to Travis. So Bald Hill should be happening pretty quick.
That's fantastic news. And
Yeah.
yeah, that'll tie in. And I think we'll have the NEPA done to authorize those other, I think, 6 cameras. That'll be done
Right.
by the end of May. So we could be really looking good by this summer, getting cameras installed.
Well, there's no telling how long this company back east, which the name of the company is the Tower Company, will process an application that Kevin is submitting. But Travis said on Bald Hill, as soon as he gets the camera, he already has all the permissions. He'll just go up and do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. So we did 25 was gonna be Big Ranch. 26, we would move over to Hayfork. I have Hayfork kind of swings down. It got a little bigger based on some discussions I had with the Norelmuck. They would like to see some fuels reduction around Natural Bridge. And for us to get some survey work done in there as they look to kind of we also want to look at improving that trail for their elders to be able to get down to Natural Bridge itself. So we've added that. Also, something I noticed recently that's missing is you can probably make this bigger for all of us. That would be good. Let's see. Where's this? The other thing I think that is missing is there's some plantations on Highway 3 South before you get closer to Hayfork proper. Those aren't showing on this map. They're driving me crazy. So they will definitely be included in this project area so that we can hold on to those plantations and have them be healthy. And also you know, that will likely help get some more light onto Highway 3. So wherever we have National Forest System lands on Highway 3 South, or that are adjacent or really in close proximity, I will be looking to include those in this in these projects. It's really, this is one of the only, well, it's one of the checkerboardy places for the west side is that Highway 3 South piece.
Larry Glass has his hand up.
Great.
Hey, so Tara, of all of the areas that you've got on your map, the area that you have that you're labeling Hayfork, which is north of Hayfork Valley and south of Hayfork Valley, if there's any place in this county that needs treatment, that area south of Hayfork and less so north of Hayfork, but both of those areas, I mean, they need treatment badly.
Yeah, I agree with you. The amount of trees that are dying on just going that you can see from the highway is just sad. The Doug fir mortality is just awful.
Well,
So-
then it wasn't in good shape before all that started anyway. So
Right.
that's just making it worse.
So what I've done to try to expedite that, Larry, is I did and we'll see what happens, but I did put in with the Nature Conservancy for a grant to get some of that preliminary work started, so we could start to get ahead of that. As soon as the planner finishes High and Palm on the South Fork unit, we will start teeing it up on the Hay Fork project. So thank you for that feedback. And if within that area, you all have areas that, and that's true for all of these projects, you know, they're large planning areas, but there are different priorities for implementation. So if you see areas that like, geez, just like you said, Larry, like, you know, this is a really big priority, you need to get on that and get on it quick, then I'll take a look at it with our fuels folks and our fire folks and try to prioritize, you know, starting closest to town likely and working our way out and getting some of those key ridge lines. So thank you for that. So Hay Fork was 20, let's see, 25, 26. Hay Fork was 26. 27 currently is this Del Loma piece. And kind of tying it into getting that buffer of things coming out of the wilderness. That was some of the thinking there, as well as there's not you're kind of limited in acres we can treat. There's some opportunities up there in that area, and thought that would be a good piece. As I said, I'm going to extend it a bit so that I can pick up Ironsides Mountain and work with the Sunung Way to figure out the best way to manage that area around that mountaintop. So that would be 27. And then 28 isn't oh no, sorry, that was 26. 20, well, it's hard because this is Big Ranch will be 24 and 25. Hay Fork will be 25, 26, 26, 27. And then Post Mountain is in the next large project, really trying to clean up the Highway 36 corridor where we can, address some of the a bit more of the post-fire complications we have out there, and but really do a lot of the community defense work out for that Post Mountain community, and you know, get right up to Peanut there, and that was the plan for that project. And then the last one you saw on my list, because 28 is you know, we're stretching out to 28 now, would be something more in this Wildwood back to Harrison Gulch neck of the woods, something out in here. And I apologize, I haven't, you know, it's when I come up through 36, you can definitely see that the forest is having some forest health issues over there. And I really want to get after that, and put those do those community risk reduction projects. So that's kind of in general. Again, Big Ranch has been, and we can share with the collaborative at our next meeting, the refined Big Ranch map. Cody, will you take a note of that? So we'll get you the most recent Big Ranch map. We will also show up with it'll be the more generalized map for the North Trinity County project, because I know we're starting to make maps on that project, so we can get that for you to look at. And then you know, any other, I should also have I'll have something on the map for this Wild Harrison project. But that was a lot, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And would love to hear your thoughts, comments, questions. So for each of these projects, and the reason I kind of went through the PowerPoint at the beginning was because each of the projects will have some degree of preventative work, which will, you know, will include some commercial timber sales. It will include non-commercial work. And because we have fire scars kind of everywhere, I'm also trying to factor in some of those old fire scars like we looked at on Big Ranch, and get those cleaned up, get them masticated, get them cleaned up, and then be able to do some reforestation. If you're not aware, we do have a pretty big initiative and responsibility to increase our reforestation efforts across the Forest Service. So we're going to try to factor that into these large landscapes as well. Okay, somebody has their hand up.
Yeah, Tara, it's Larry. Are we gonna see that giant log grinder that was being used up on South Fork Mountain? Are you gonna have access to that for some of these projects?
That's the horizontal grinder, I think, that they had.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe so. And the other thing we've got is it has been clunky at best to figure out how to best utilize the county's tub grinder. Tub grinders are a good tool for the work that we need to get done, especially if I can't find a market for this biomass material. But either way, yes. So that big grinder that Kristen had under contract, that for the fire stuff, that was exceptional. And tub grinders as well. And you had asked, I wanted to let you know, our order is in for our small skid steer that's got a masticator, and it's got a little shearing head, so we can do some of that work in-house as well. And we're working with the county. The other thing I didn't touch on is the Good Neighbor Agreement is being leveraged to take care of a lot of the county roadside brushing, especially where it goes through National Forest System lands. We recognize that there's a win-win there. The county roads are very overgrown. They're contributing to fuels impacts on National Forest System lands, and so we put another. Our original allocation to the Good Neighbor Agreement was $1.4 million, and we're looking to modify it and add another 1.5 this year to address hazard trees and some of those fuels situations we talked about. Two other things that are going on that I want to make sure you're all aware of, because I don't ever want you to be surprised, is the forest is looking to have a programmatic to address our fuels issues. So we're looking at working through that. And then also we are looking to put a contract out from this year's fiscal, from the money we got, to do plantation maintenance programmatic. We discussed that a little bit on these calls before, but we know that when we plant a plantation, that there's certain things are going to happen to that plantation. It's going to have a pre-commercial thinning, probably two, and then it'll have a commercial thinning, and then it'll have at least one more, and that we'll have to punch some holes in it or make some small group selection type things to give it some diversity, both in species and in stand structure and age composition. So we're looking at that contract should go out soon, before our contracting deadline, so that we can get somebody to help us get that NEPA done. So we're going to pay somebody to help us with that.
Jerry has his hand up, but real quick before that, one of the questions that comes up to my mind was, and Kristen may have mentioned this before, but could you remind us, what was Six Rivers doing with all the materials from the horizontal grinder when they were using that, when that project was happening?
I seem to remember she said that she was relocating a bunch of it to some areas that they needed it for soil stability, and they had a big open area down somewhere by further down the road.
the fire camp that they used last summer along the Van Dusen River, just east of Dinsmore, they completely covered that in chips. And they also used the chips along the roadside up top of South Fork Mountain to create about 150 foot buffer along there to suppress the brush from growing back.
That's right.
Nice.
Great, thank you. Jerry.
So good job on increasing the Good Neighbor Authority with the county. That's great. I'm wondering if, since you redesigned the big ranch project, would it be worth another field trip up there to kind of see the spectrum of it at
Yeah.
some point?
Absolutely, and I think that by the time, so next month will be a regular meeting. Right now, what's going on
Yeah.
out there is stand exams, so by the time we get to the following month, we should actually start to have some units that we can look at. And yeah, I think that's a great idea, Jerry, and we can have a newer updated map. I didn't have anything new to show you guys this month, and I'm always I know you're gonna find this hard to believe, but I'm self-conscious when we do our regular meeting and I take 80% of the time up talking about our project. So I wanted to let you know, kind of let you all know what we're looking at doing. But I like your idea. We can certainly get out there to Big Ranch and look at the actual treatment acres. And I also wanted to let you guys know that we're going to be I'm doing everything I can to get pilot into that contract so that it can start to get some work done. And then in my notes, I put 300 acres of it is already under a contract for cut, skid, and deck. And that contractor is due to come in it's the submerged stuff, non-commercial, but they're supposed to start in August. Kathy Knowlton is my COR on that contract. Any other questions about, so I just want to make sure you all understand how the agreement with the Watershed Center will work. They will go, we'll go under an agreement with them. They will do a request for proposals for the commercial timber sale. And they will award a contract. We will, so the way that works is the Forest Service holds a partner to our agreement and the partner holds a logger to the contract. So it's got a few extra layers. But once we get the Watershed Center's sale administrator or contract specialist and we're all on the same page, I expect that will be a really good tool in increasing our capacity.
Okay, so just time check, it's 11 o'clock. I don't know, Tara, what your full plans were, if there was any other questions at this point.
Let me pull up, I actually wrote up an agenda, but apparently I wasn't gonna share it with you guys, because I just kept it a secret. Let me see. I reported out on what I do with the Board of Supervisors. We talked about our accomplishments this year. We talked about planned implementation. We talked about our agreements. We talked about the service contracts, the ones that are currently active. Cody, do you want to give us an update on the IRTC work? Sorry, that's wrong. The IRSC BPA work that we'll be working on this summer, where we'll still be doing work, please.
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And you're talking about this year's 24 IRSC.
I'm talking about the work that's already under contract that we're still doing from last year's IRSC.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they finished up some of the hazard tree work up in 4 and 16. They're still working on the Petty John, the Petty John handwork, and then they're gonna start with some of the mechanical work this year. Then they already finished felling a lot of the trees up near Forest Glen. They probably still have a couple months up there, but right now they're working in East Texas, and I think they're going to have that finished up probably in 2 to 3 months, and then they're going to move into Red Mountain, which once August phase 2 is signed, we'll also treat the August phase 2 stuff in addition to the August phase 1. Yeah, so they're still on schedule to finish up everything on time. So yeah, Forest Glen, East Texas, sorry, Red Mountain, Petty John, that's all planned to be going through. There's also some work up on Ironside Lookout. No, not Ironside Lookout. We call it Iron Mike. I think it is Ironside Lookout. And they're felling hazard trees to reopen up the trailhead, doing some road work, like reconditioning the roads. And then there's some work up past Denny, also doing some hazard tree work, fuels cleanups, and opening up the trailheads. And that should all finish, everything but Petty John should finish by October this year.
Okay, thank you, Cody. That sounds good. So one of the things I was hoping to get out of this meeting today was being able to make sure I'm capturing the concerns of the collaborative, the priorities of the collaborative. You know, big picture. I know we want a healthy landscape. We want the biggest, healthiest trees that provide shade for the longest amount of time. We want to make sure that we're writing NEPA that gives us a way to maintain the treatments that we're putting in there. So I need to be able to put prescribed fire back in there. So we're really trying to emphasize some of those areas where roads come together and the topography is such that it'll make a good block for us. But Larry, I appreciate, hey, I need to get after Hayfork. I need to make sure that I get that moving as quickly as possible. And I may be able to get that one kind of jump started before I finish Big Ranch. So I'll see what I can do about moving that up. Do the priorities I've kind of lined out for all of you, are they in alignment with what you're seeing across the west side of the Shasta Trinity National Forest? You feel like we're headed in the right direction? You know, I tried to explain why we're looking at, I know it's a much bigger pace, but what are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I thought you had said before you were going to do a piece around Junction City, because I think that's another vulnerable community that really needs attention.
Yes, we are. That's the one we're doing with the Watershed Center, and they are going to start that just as soon as Bowerman is complete. So that's a great question. I don't think we haven't worked with the community to iron out the footprint yet, and then when we do, it'll start to show up on the map. So that's Junction City soon. Thank you. We're going to start that in FY24.
Cody has in the chat, anything anyone would want to see on the updated Big Ranch map? As a question.
Well, I don't know specifics, but I'd just like to see the perimeter of it. So if you could send out a map so we can see the new the ground that's been designed now before maybe we get out on a field trip, that'd be great.
Are treatment units already defined then within that map?
Specific
Right.
specific units aren't created, but anticipated treatments are there. It's just refining the extent of it at this point.
And yes, we can send you that map, Jerry. We can get that. We'll ship it to the collaborative. We'll get it out to Kelly. And then you can, I guess, route it out to the
Yep.
mailing list. Okay.
Yep.
So
Great.
Cody, we make sure you do that.
Yeah, of course.
Great. Larry, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, I mean, what I really want to see on Big Ranch is what you're just talking about. I want to see the treatments and the, more specific. Right now, it's just this big blob on the map. I know you're not treating that whole area, so I'd like to see the more refined boundaries and what treatments are going where. I'd like to see where the plantations are on that map versus the roadside treatments.
Yeah, and acreages, if you were getting to that point too, I think would probably be, to go along with that would be great.
Sure, yeah, I can work on that.
Thanks, Cody.
Okay, well,
Eh,
rest of
So
your.
Tara, and you're working with the Fish and Wildlife, how is that going on Big Ranch?
It's going really well, actually. I've had them out there one time so far to look at, to take a look at, what we're thinking about for Big Ranch. And, but as we've been working through, both High and Palm and Bowerman with Fish and Wildlife Service, we're developing kind of a, hey, when we run into this situation, these are the kinds of things we're gonna do, and these are the things we're not going to do. I would say overall, I'm very pleased with how things are going with Fish and Wildlife Service. They've made trips out to the project area. They've already been to Big Ranch once. We talked about, with the collaborative, we made a stop and said, this area would be a wildlife driven prescription. We had the roadside piece that would be fuel management zone. Then behind that, we're like, hey, this would be a great wildlife prescription to make sure we hold on to this habitat and to have some no treatment islands and take advantage of some little openings. So I think things are going really well with Fish and Wildlife Service. And I also was fortunate. I participated in the FACA field trip on Monday, where we went out to look over the Weaver Basin. We went to the Lake Forest plantations, and we went to Pettyjohn to kind of look at some of those projects and talk about, look at that through a Northwest Forest Plan lens. So long answer, but things are going really, really well. And they've added some staffing, so that's been super helpful as well.
So it sounds like what you first said is if you've had them out to the North Country projects and identifying certain situations, it almost implies a little programmatic effort that when you get to Big Ranch, if you bump into a similar situation, you already know what to do because you've discussed that. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if programmatic is the right word, but we have a common understanding of kind of the parameters we're working in. I think of it, and it's probably because I'm very simple-minded, but I think of it like when you go bowling and they bring up the bumpers. It's like, okay, now I know what those parameters are. I know, how to stay within the parameters and still benefit the stand without adversely impacting the owls. So those front-end conversations have been super helpful.
Great. Sounds like programmatic with a lowercase p.
There you go, Jerry.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
I
Are we
do.
ready to wrap?
Yeah, I think so. I do expect us to have, I think the difference, we will have more timber outputs, but not because we're aiming at timber outputs, but because that's what the land base needs. When we go out to Big Ranch and we do the thinning so that we leave behind a healthy stand, there will be, commercial outputs. But that's different. We're not going to an area specifically aiming at it because it's going to produce timber. So, I feel like we're checking a lot of boxes by reducing the risk to the communities, by improving habitat, and there will be commercial outputs. But, I think that it's just because we have too many trees. So, I think that'll be a benefit to, the community and to industry, and will help fund more work down the line. We'll hold on to that and retain receipts or KV deposits and be able to reinvest it back into the landscape. I think that's all I had for you guys. I wanted to just say thank you for making time and adjusting to this meeting. I feel like, you should have there's nothing I'm thinking about doing at this point that you don't know about. Which is, that's how I want it. That's what our, in general, our 5-year plan looks like. I will get you, Cody will send you that refined Big Ranch map. Larry will make sure we have we'll show the plantations. We'll talk about we'll put on there where we think we're doing FMZs. And there's also some oak woodlands restoration work in there that's going to happen. So, it's very early, but, we're happy to share that early. Okay,
Oh, great, thank you.
So Tara,
yes,
We had,
before you go, could, another matter here, I would like to ask you about who do I talk to get a few acres of old fuel break cleaned up adjacent to my property? Who is the person that could help me? Write it down.
Mr. Cody Carter.
Okay,
Cody,
so Cody,
yep.
Yes, I'm here. Do you want my contact information?
yeah, I would. So
All right,
I'd
our-
like to get together with you, and it's just a small little piece that's badly overgrown, 25-year-old fuel break against my property. And, a fire crew might spend a couple days in there cleaning it up. It's only like a 5-acre project. But I wonder if you're the person I need to be in touch with.
and it's also next to
Yeah,
the Philpott campground, which has been burned over, but some of it's still there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll give you my contact information and we can talk about it more.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Are you calling in? Can I put the information in the chat?
Uh,
Yes,
Yeah,
we can
go
look
ahead
at it.
and I'll copy it and give it to him.
All right.
I
Thank
could
you.
also send you Joseph and Susan's direct contact information if that's easier, Cody.
That would work. Thank you.
I'll do that today.
Great. Well, thank you all very much. And again, hopefully you see the reason why we're trying to increase the pace and scale like we are based on the, it's like a punch in the stomach when you realize how much Trinity County has burned in the last few years. I mean, the deep fire last year was the normal fire, right? It was in the wilderness. It about 3,000 acres, stayed where it was supposed to be for the most part. So, I feel like time is of the essence. We need to get these treatments done as quickly as possible before we end up in another really bad fire season. Okay, that's what I have for you guys.
Tara,
Yes.
I've got my little hand up. This is Susan. I would like to say that I've heard from people, both environmentalists, business people, as well as industry leaning people, how appreciative they are that you listen and respond, and they even see some things happening. Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you very much. I sure appreciate that. And I know you all have been very, very patient with the agency. And I'm glad that we're finally starting to get some things done, because I know that's what this group is all about, is making sure that we get some things done and that we are taking care of our communities. So it's nice to be on this team. Thank you all very much.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Tara, for the whole rundown. This all worked out great.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'll get you some of the supporting documents to send out. Kelly, I'll get you my briefing for the Board of Supervisors. I had some of the rec stuff on there.
Yes,
And
please.
I will we'll get you those updated maps, okay?
Perfect. Sounds great, Tara. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and thanks for all you're doing.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, now.
Bye.
Well, that was good.